Okay, we have lesson 2.2 for lesson 2. We're going to talk about adding, subtracting decimal numbers and integers. So integers are talking about the negative and positive numbers, okay? So what symbol, remember we have all those symbols for our real number system. What symbol do we use for integers? Anybody remember what symbol we use? Oh, this one. The letter I for integers. So the letter I for integers. Okay, so what makes up integers? Who remembers what makes up our integers? So we're talking about this green box. So what makes up this integers?
Negative infinity to positive.
Okay, so negative infinity to positive infinity. Well, what does that actually mean? Well, it means we can have positive numbers, negative numbers. Do we have decimals and fractions though? No. So we have every kinds of numbers except for our decimals and fractions. Okay, so positive numbers, negative numbers on the number line. Now, we are going to be talking about decimals as well. But if we talk about just plain old integers, how do we add and subtract them? There's a couple different strategies. Now, I'm sure you've talked about some of these strategies in your different schools before, in different grades. So, have you ever talked about adding, you always move to the right, subtracting, you would move to the left? This is typically always comparing it on a number line. That's something you have to remember, is they usually compare it to a number line. So, zip zap. Anybody tried that one where you add the opposite? Yeah, the zip zap? What about the money? Anybody done the money strategy? I use money strategies all the time. And what it is this. If you've got negative 10 plus 4, well, think of it this way. You owe your mom 10 bucks and you only have 4 to pay her back. Do you still owe her money or does she owe you money? You still owe her money, 6 bucks. Okay, so usually people can keep track of how much money people owe them. So, because of that reason, we always think of negative numbers as money that people owe, and positive numbers of money that you're going to have in your own pocket. So, temperature, this is also what we've got. One thing that people forget is that temperature is just taking the number line. They've taken the number line, and all they've done is they've taken the negative side of the number line, and they've swung it down below. So they've got 0 now in the middle, and they've got all the positive numbers above and all the negative numbers below. And that's how we talk about, for example, this afternoon, according to the weather yesterday, it was supposed to snow today. Okay? I don't think I see any snow that's snowing, so I guess the weather was wrong again. But maybe they said, we started the day at minus 18. Well, if you're at minus 18, and then they said, well, the temperature rose 6 degrees, that means it rose 6 degrees. How far did it get up to then? Minus 12, good. And then it said it started to snow, and it raised another 4 degrees. Where does it end up? Minus 8, good. Now, what if it said, oh no, we have a cold snap coming, and it's going to drop 30 degrees? Right. You're going to drop 30 degrees from there, so you would end at negative 38. So when we're talking about temperatures and how hot or cold it is, we're talking about moving up and down the negatives and positives. Okay? All right. So let's take a look. And we have number lines. So you have this in your workbook, and this is what you see. So it says using a number line to add A plus B. You start at A and you move towards B. So what that is it's saying here, if B is positive, you move to the right. If B is negative, you move to the left. If B is 0, you would stay. You would move left or right. So let's do an example. Example 1 says negative 2 to positive 5. So what they're showing us, when we're talking about these numbers on the number line, so what they're doing is this. They would locate the first number. So they're talking about up here on A and B, yada yada. All they're saying is you start on the very first number they give you. So here we have negative 2 plus 5. So you're going to start at negative 2 and make a dot. So they made a dot on negative 2. Then it says you're going to add 5. So what you do is you would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you end up where you end up. Okay? So we're going to end up at positive 3, so we equals positive 3. But what we have to show on top is that we might see this. On top, they might put a plus 5 above the arrow. But notice which way the arrow is pointing. Which way is the arrow pointing? To the right. It's because they're adding. Now they're subtracting. It's going to move to the left. Okay? So let's take a look here. Example 2, we've got 4 plus negative 6. Well, we're adding. How come the arrow shows I'm subtracting then?
It's basically subtraction.
Right. So we have to think of what's going on here. There's two things going on. Whenever we've got two signs in the middle between two numbers, if they're different, they separate with a subtract sign. So they just get rid of both numbers, both signs, scribble them out, replace it with a subtract sign. If it confuses you to go plus a negative, okay? But if you're adding a negative, you're moving to the left, okay? It means the same thing as subtracting. So we would start with positive 4, and now we're going to move 6 to the left. So you would literally move it 6 steps to the left and see where you end up. So your answer would be negative 2, because that's where you end up on your number line. Okay? On the bottom here, what if we're dealing with decimals? Well, number lines don't often have decimals for us. So, do we use the same process? Yes, we do. Okay? So, we would estimate finding on the number line. So this guy here, why didn't it move anywhere? I'm only seeing a dot. Right, because it says it's adding nothing. If it's adding nothing, it didn't move to the left, it didn't move to the right, it stayed put. Okay? It's because it didn't move, it didn't go anywhere. All right, let's take a look at what that means for us for adding rational numbers. So, we talked about adding positives. If we have two positive numbers, you literally just add the digits. Now, here's the trick for negative numbers. Same thing happens if they're both negative. Forget the negative sign is there, add the digits, and then put a negative back on your answer. And that's how it works. So I would look at the next two and I would say, okay, well they're both negative, so I'm just going to take the 2 and 3 and add them, and then put a negative back on it. And that's exactly the way it works. Okay? So another example of that would be this. So two negative numbers. So if I go negative 3 plus a negative 9. Well, they're both negative numbers, so my calculator, I know my answer is already negative, because think of this. You're at negative 3 and you're walking 9 steps down the negative line. You're ending up way negative. So if you know your answer is already negative, just add the digits. So my answer is going to be negative, and it's going to be 12. Do that. Try this one. What if I have negative 19 plus negative 7? Negative 19 plus negative 7. Negative 26, yes. Who remembers the little tricks we have for adding or subtracting numbers that are close to numbers that count by tens? Yeah, how to do that real quick? Yeah? What's your strategy? Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes, exactly. I do too. So the way we're talking here, what I do, for example, and it's the same thing obviously Everett does here, is I would estimate this as negative 20, and then I would just reduce this one by 1. So I got a negative 20, and 6 more is a negative 26. Okay? So you can do that. It works all the time. Okay? All right. So we need to talk about what if there's a positive number and a negative number. Now it depends on which digit is bigger. Okay? So here we've got 5 adding a negative 3. 5 adding a negative 3, the digit 5 is bigger than a negative 3. Or even if you take a look at the digits themselves, which digit's bigger, 5 or 3? 5 is bigger. 5 is bigger. So I am just going to take my 5, and now what I'm going to do, because the signs are different, the 5 is positive. They'll never put a plus sign out front of something. They'll always assume it's a positive unless they show you a negative. So that would be 5, and then now you're just going to literally subtract 3. So when they're different in the middle, like I said, you can replace it with a subtract sign. So let's say 5 subtract 3. Okay? Now, over here, same thing here. Which number is bigger, the 5 or the 3?
3.
Ah, I want to know which actual digit. Forget if it's positive or negative. Which digit's bigger, 5 or 3?
5.
5's bigger than 3. Okay? Now, don't think of the negatives and positives right now. I just want to know if you compared 3 and a 5. Okay, just 3 and 5. 5's bigger than 3. Okay? So now what we got to do is if it's adding them, but you're adding a negative, well, adding a negative is like saying subtracting. So you're at positive 3 and you're going to subtract 5 on the number line. Where do you end up? Negative 2. Okay? You're ending up at negative 2. Now, adding and subtracting rational numbers. Now, these ones are talking about if you've got double negatives in the middle. So, this is the rule. When you've got signs that are identical in the middle, between two signs, between two digits, if they're identical, they're always going to be replaced with a plus sign. So the only time that you can do that is if you either have two positives or two negatives. So, this guy here, different signs in the middle, subtraction is what it's replaced with. Different signs in the middle, subtraction is what it's replaced with. Okay? We have here two signs that are identical in the middle. If they're identical in the middle, they'll be replaced by a plus sign. Okay? You probably learned that last year, where you've got, well, this guy, negative 4 minus negative 3. Did you guys talk about negatives last year? Hopefully lots. So, whenever you're identical signs in the middle, you always switch them to positives. Okay? So, if we have two plus signs in the middle, will you see that? Well, sometimes you might, because they want to maybe see if you know the difference. Okay? So they would only be doing that if they were testing to see if you understand the concept. But typically, it'll show you lots of these, the two negatives in the middle. So you have to understand that those will just go to plus. Okay? Now, can you just type it in your calculator the way you see it? Of course you can. But you actually have to know the rules. Because what if they said, Jim and Sue did the question, here's Jim's work, here's Sue's work, who did it right? Then you have to know the steps. Okay? Alright, so adding or subtracting decimals. We use the exact same rules. So, identical rules, adding and subtracting decimals. So let's do an example. Negative 2.5 minus negative 4. Negative 2.5 minus negative 4.
Since they're identical, you place it with a plus sign.
Good job, plus signs. Now you've got negative 2 adding 4 is 1.5 positive. Okay? Because again, you can just take a look. Who's bigger? 4 is bigger than negative 2.5, right? So it's 4 subtract 2.5. So you're going to get positive 1.5. Okay? Any questions on that? All right, we'll do more examples. Here we go. Let's take a look at these ones. So, you have the answers to these already, but I'm just going to show you what they're talking about. So, the way this one looks is this. You would find 3.42. So I would estimate 3.42. And then I would add 2.71. So I'm going to go 2 spaces, 1, 2, and then a 0.71. I'm going to end up roughly over here somewhere. So I'm going to be adding 2.71. What is my answer I'm going to be ending up at? Where do I end up at with that one? What do you think? Well, type it in your calculator if you have to. Where are you going to end up? Now, if you're not sure about decimals, you have to remember how to add decimals. Okay? Let's line them up. 3.42, always line up where the decimal is. 2.71. Draw a line and add straight up and down. So now, what's 2 plus 1?
8.
What's 4 plus 11? Oh, 4 plus 7, I gave it to you. 11. Darn it. Add the 1 over here. 3 plus 2 plus 1? 6. So 6.13. That should be your answer, okay? We do have to know how to do these, remember, without a calculator, because we have a non-calculator section to worry about. All right, am I going to be adding or subtracting the next number? What do you think? Am I adding or subtracting that one? We're subtracting it because we're adding a negative, remember? Two signs in the middle, if they're different, replace the subtract sign. So we're going to start way over here at 3.42. Now I'm going to subtract 2.71. So where am I going to end up? Well, we're going to do it this way again. So 3.42 minus 2.71. All right. Now, when we subtract, we have to move right to left. It's different from when we add. So, we would subtract here. How many do we get? Well, oh, sorry, no, we don't. We get the other way still. So 2 subtracts 1 is 1. Can 4 subtract 7? Of course not. It's too small. So how am I going to make it bigger?
Borrow.
I have to borrow, but who do I borrow from? The 3, the guy on the left. So I'm going to borrow from him. Who does he become? A 2. That guy becomes how big? 14. Some people always think, oh, I'm just going to add those. No, you don't add those. That's actually 10 being added there. So that's a 14 now subtracting 7. What do you get? 7. So the decimal comes down. So it's decimal 71. So we're estimating our answer right in here at 0.7. Okay? All right. Example 67. Let's take a look at those. Moving it up. Now, look at it 2 different ways. You can start from this negative number and add that, or you can start with the big number and subtract, the other number and subtract the other one. It doesn't matter which way you do it, you're going to get the exact same answer. So, if I start the negative number, I'm going to be over here, and then I'm going to add, okay, 2.71. Okay, so now I'm going to take a negative number, negative 3.42, and I'm adding 2.71. Aha! How do I add those? Am I able to add them the same way? Well, what do you think? Are you able to add them the same way here? That's right. That's what I wanted you guys to see. You have to set it up differently. When you want a negative number for a positive number, we have to set it up like this. Okay? So we're not going to set it up like this. We have to set it up that way. Okay? So there are 2 ways to do it, but you have to do it one way at a certain time and the other way the other time. So, you guys have pictures. I'm going to show you what the picture looks like. You have this already. So, there's your solution. Did everybody see that on there? Hopefully you all have it, yes, in your workbooks. Okay. Last question, same thing. So what did they get for the other one? What do you notice about the very last example? They're both negative numbers. So if you're at a negative number and you're subtracting more, you're walking way further down the negative line. Okay? All right. This is where we're going to do some together to practice. So, double signs in the middle. So, if the signs are identical, we replace them with a positive sign. If the signs are different, these are the notes I gave you, the written notes. Okay? So, if they are different in the middle, you separate with a subtract sign. So, we're going to do these questions. I want you to try them on your own. Okay? And then we're going to take them up right away. It won't take us long. Here we got this together. Okay, number 1, you should have been at -4, adding 2, ending up at -2. The next one, you're going to start at +5, you're going to subtract 4, and end up at +1. Now, here we have to split it to subtract. Here they turn to pluses. What do they turn to on this one? In the middle. If they're different in the middle, what do you replace them with?
Plus.
If they're different in the middle? Sorry, that thing's really bright in my eyes. Yeah, you separate with a negative sign. So now, the reason I didn't put any numbers on here is because I wanted to know if you knew that. Because that's going to tell you whether or not you start on the right and move to the left, or you start on the right and move. I said it backwards, but you know what I mean. Sorry, backwards which way? So if you would have thought that was going to be adding 12, you would have been putting -8 adding 12 going to the right. But subtracting a positive means subtracting. Okay? So that means we're actually starting over here somewhere, and then you're subtracting 12. So you're going to end up at -20. Okay? So everybody should have -20 for that one. Okay, make sure you've got -20. Okay, last 3 examples. So whenever we're locating a number on the number line, and we have to move back and forth, we always start with the very first number. So the first number we locate, -3.8. So -3.8 is going to be close to this 4 over here. Now, we are adding 5.1. So what I would do on my paper is I'm going to add 5 steps. So I'm going to jump 5 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know the answer is going to be in here somewhere. Now I literally type it in my calculator and solve it. So this should give me 1.3. So I know the answer that I end up over here as is 1.3. So I draw my arrow, I move to the right because I was adding. Okay, that's what happened. I was adding, so I moved to the right. Now the next one, I'm starting at -2.5. So I'm starting halfway in between these guys. Now I need to move 4 steps to the left, because that's the way it's pointing, because I'm going negative. So I'm going to be adding 4 steps. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and a little bit more. It's going to be over here somewhere. So now I'm going to draw my line. You move this way, and now I type it in my calculator and figure it out. So I think it's -6.8. Is that what you got?
Yes, sir.
Nice. Well done. -6.8. Okay. Next question. Very last one. Oopsie. Okay. So now we're going to start at 5.4. So you're going to find 5.4 is over here-ish. Okay? It's after the digit 5. Now we're moving that way because I'm subtracting. So now I'm going to have to subtract 7 steps and a little bit more. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and a little more. So my answer is going to be somewhere in there. So now I'm going to put my arrow pointing that way, and where do we end up? Negative. Good. Make sure you have the negative in front of it. -1.8. End up in the negatives. Okay? This concludes lesson 2.2.